episode is sponsored by Dreams from the East. Founded in 2015, Dreams from the East is a full-service entertainment and clothing company specializing in marketing, creative production, and brand strategy. I have a bunch of clothes from Dreams from the East, and it is super comfortable. They have really great sets, they have accessories, and the quality is really great, so you're really getting your money's worth. They also have a really cool mission. They aspire to motivate and spark the dreams of those with a clear vision of better living. Dreams from the East is not just a clothing company, it's a collective of artists and creatives that are sharing their stories. So go check them out at dreamsfromtheeast.com to learn more. Okay, welcome to another episode of Just Us, the podcast about mental health and the justice system and how creative expression and purpose can be used to make meaning and cope. Today, I have another very special guest with me, the very talented Ryan Jones. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
That's what I'm supposed to say, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Ryan Jones. So I've been tattooing for 15 years now. I paint also. But yeah, mainly I'm a tattooer. That's where I make my income from, mostly.
Yeah.
I sell paintings also, but yeah, I would say I'm looked at as a tattooer, at least at this time.
All right, nice. Okay, so are you ready to get into it?
Yes.
All right, it's just us. So I want to dive right in, start from the beginning. You're from Taunton?
Yep.
Okay, so you're from Taunton, Massachusetts. Tell me a little bit about what Taunton means to you, and if it does mean anything to you.
Yeah, I mean, so I grew up in Taunton. I was born and raised there. And I guess over the course of my career, it has just grown in meaning to me. I tattooed in the city for 10 years before I moved into opening my own studio. And that move was kind of my the beginning of the deeper meaning in the city for me. Mm-hmm. For me to really, I guess, make my mark and start to think more about impact, and what my studio could mean for the whole city as a whole. Yeah. So that's kind of the direction I was heading in there. Yeah, I mean, as a city, it gets a bad rap, like most smaller cities around this area. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for me, I'm excited to change that narrative through my business mostly.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what has made you want to stay?
I've connected with so many people through that city. I've tattooed there for 15 years, and that was kind of like a grassroots come up too. Mm-hmm. So I've just seen all walks of life from doing business there for so long and doing what I do. I just see all kinds of different people. So for me, like, my clientele became family, especially in the early days, and even now, it's like it's tough to differentiate between business and like friends and family, because it all just coincides, and everybody is like part of this one big community throughout this whole time I've been tattooing. So
yeah, I bet.
Like personal relationships, friendships have come out of it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what was childhood like in Taunton? Like, what was life like for you when you were growing up?
I was into sports, so for me, everything was just about sports. I played hockey my whole life, and I still do. So for my childhood, everything revolved around playing hockey. That's what I did every day. I went to school, played hockey after school with my friends. And that was really my upbringing out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you play hockey in high school?
Yeah.
Okay. And then did you go to college or did you not go to college?
Yeah, I did 2 years at BCC.
Okay.
Community college. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up at UMass Dartmouth. Yep. Ended up doing just one semester over there, and I dropped out to just tattoo full time.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you were growing up, was mental health ever talked about?
No,
Never.
never. Really
Yep.
never. Like literally
Yep.
never. For sure.
Yeah, that's the most common answer, I feel like. And it's interesting, I feel like, to see even just across all these episodes, the variety and diversity of people that I've had on the show, in so many aspects, and everybody's response pretty much being the same, that it wasn't talked about. I think maybe one person said that it was, and that was for like a very specific reason, because there was like a family member in the family who was struggling. But so it wasn't talked about. Do you remember if it was ever talked about, like at school or even just like around at all?
No, it's funny. Like everything's physical health in
Yep.
school, right? Everything's about your food pyramid.
Yeah, it's so
That's right,
true.
right? Like everything was
Yeah.
focused on physical health.
Yep.
And then I guess the correlation between physical and mental didn't come in until like later.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about, because I wonder, I mean, I think that mental health today is more prominent. And I don't know if it was, it might have still been bad back in the day and we just maybe didn't necessarily know about it. But it's funny, like it really wasn't talked about in school. And I remember in health class, I don't even remember what we talked about in health class. I just remember it being about, like you said, like the food pyramid. And I think I mentioned on another episode, like I remember one class specifically where we had to wear like drunk goggles to like see what it would be like if you were drunk. And it's like the things that they would tie in, and so many things could have been tied back to mental health, I think, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't there at all. It's so interesting. Do you remember the first time that you did learn about mental health, or had an experience with it, whether it was you or someone you know?
I mean, like thinking back, like you said, it's always been there. It's not like it just popped out of nowhere.
Right.
So thinking back into even like middle school, like now that it's more of a conversation, like you can look back and you can be like, it was super apparent that mental health was a real thing, even at that young age, right? Like, I think we all have like certain kids that we all went to school with and whatnot that we can, even today, like it's universal. Like you can't just categorize, okay, these people got mental health issues, but like the dude that's, grinding 9 to 5 or whatever, suit and tie type dude doesn't have them. That's not how it works.
Yep.
We all have a brain. We all have, so there's our curse, right? We all got a brain. So we all got the same mental issues, like we all deal with them a different way. So yeah, it's a universal spectrum. It's been around forever.
Yeah, I think that's actually an interesting point too. Like growing up and knowing that there was almost like a separation of individuals who maybe were in like special education classes or like behavioral rooms or classes. But that doesn't mean that just those people that were in those classes were struggling. Like there was definitely, like the rest of us, we probably
just hit it better.
Yeah, like
we're just a little bit better at not getting caught for certain shit.
Yeah, like there was definitely stuff going on with everybody else. It was just a matter of, like you said, like how you handled it, or maybe, however the brain was working, I guess, for each different person. But that's interesting. Do you feel like you ever had an experience yourself with mental health? Like, or as you got older, do you feel like you started to notice things more?
Yeah, I think it's the most intense now. Not in like the most intense like outbursts or like issues with it, but it's the most reflected on for me now.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble with the whole conversation, is that you got to be able to get through a certain age until you can even reflect on your actions.
Yeah, that's so true.
Right? It's like none of that even was a thought, even up until like very recently for me. I would say, like, I'm 33, so I'd say reflection wasn't even really a part of my vocabulary until like a few years ago even.
Yep.
And it's only until you start reflecting that you realize what's affecting your mental health.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's when you can start to design your life in a way where your mental health becomes your priority.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yes.
That's kind of
That's
like
so true.
you're kind of you're behind the 8 ball if you're not thinking that way.
Yep. So much of it is reflection, and I think that it's something that we can do all the time, but it's kind of like learning, like you said, even learning that that's a thing, like learning how to reflect and what that means. And maybe starting with reflecting on like when you were younger and how things maybe affected you, but then also reflecting on like something that happened yesterday and like how you went about it. You know what I mean? And if you would maybe want to do things differently in the future. Did you ever get into any trouble when you were younger?
Yeah, just little, nothing crazy, right?
Yeah.
Just mischievous type stuff. I was kind of like the accomplice. I wasn't like the criminal, right? I'm kind of like the kid that maybe helped out, but maybe didn't get caught so bad.
Yeah.
Like never expelled, but definitely detention kind of guy.
Yep.
I kind of played the middle.
Yep. Just enough.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
Okay. I don't really know much of Taunton in terms of like the presence of police or like the justice system and, you know, kind of like crime rates or anything like that, really. I mean, I know Taunton just because I've always lived close to Taunton and I've definitely visited there a lot, but was the justice system spoken about at all when you were younger, or do you feel like it was very prevalent, like you knew it was there?
No, the earliest memory of that is like the DARE classes.
Yes. I love thinking about DARE.
Yeah, that's like the youngest age I can remember, like police presence in the city.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, like, no, it wasn't really like a big topic like in school or something like that. No.
Did you go to Taunton High or did you go to?
I went to Coyle.
You went to Coyle.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if Taunton High had school police. Do you know if they do?
I think they do.
Okay. Yeah. I know like Brockton High does too, but then I know not cities, like Norton, I don't think they have a school police.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure Taunton does have a detail there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was the difference of Coyle and maybe your school experience prior being in Taunton Public Schools?
Yeah, so public schools all the way up until high school. So for me, like all my friends went to Taunton High, all the kids I grew up with. So you're saying the difference between the two high schools? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, like how was it? Was it a big difference when you went to Coyle opposed to like your public school experience?
Yes and no. Kids were still kids. You know, don't matter what uniform you wear.
Yep.
I mean, there was plenty of like drug raids at Coyle too. Like shit wasn't like, it's not like we all, you know.
Yeah.
Like there was still people getting their lockers ripped open there too. So like I said, kids are kids. I can't speak for Taunton High. I never went there, so I don't know. I'm sure there was some stuff going on over there too. Yeah. But yeah, as far as the differences, I just went there. I went to Coyle to play hockey.
That was going to be my next question.
That was my whole reason. If it wasn't for that, I would have been at Taunton High mostly.
Okay. Are you happy that you ended up at Coyle?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got lifelong friends out of that, so
nice.
That was the best part about it.
Yeah. How was the diversity? Was Coyle, was that school diverse or not really?
Not as diverse as Taunton High, for sure.
Yeah.
But it was, you know. That was at the time, too. I think that it seemed like it was like programs in place to make it more diverse type of thing.
Okay, yep.
You know?
Yep.
But no, for sure not as diverse as Taunton High.
Yeah, because Taunton's a very diverse city.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Very diverse.
Like middle school, like I went to school with a lot of Spanish kids, a lot of black kids, like everybody.
Yep.
Like Taunton's super diverse.
Yeah.
Even more so now.
Yeah.
Than back then.
It's funny because I always just know because there's a ton of Portuguese people in Taunton.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So like that's usually why we would go there, is to go to like Portuguese restaurants or So do you think that you learned anything, or maybe, you know, reflecting now back on the differences of how diverse maybe public school was in Taunton growing up, and then going to Coyle and there being a lack of diversity. Like, do you think that you've thought about that, or do you think that your experience could have been different if it was more diverse, or if there was anything that you maybe learned?
Yeah, if it was different, I mean, your experience is only what you experienced, right? So I only know what I experienced. So could it have been different? For sure. I'm not sure that it would have changed much, right? I mean, in what ways? I guess I would have to ask you, in what ways do you mean would it be different?
I don't know. I guess, do you think that you would have learned more in high school? Let me see if I can rephrase this. So I don't know how much you feel like you know, are open-minded or anything like that, but do you think that if you had gone, so like for me, for instance, going to Norton schools forever until high school, my mind was like open to, I don't even know. When I went to Brockton High, I was like, whoa, like this is the world. Right. Norton's like a little bubble. Right. You know what I mean? And like everybody lives under a rock is kind of like how I felt when I went to Brockton High. So do you feel, I guess it's kind of the opposite for you, where you were kind of already open to all these different cultures, and then you went to Coyle.
To a degree, right? I mean, we're still just Massachusetts.
Yep.
And then we're Taunton, and then we're in Brockton. Like, there's New York. Like, there's a world outside of the United States. Yeah. Like, yep. So there's a spectrum there. I mean, you're only as experienced as you seek.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know.
Yep.
I can't say that like going to Taunton High would have been like the pinnacle of experience of culture.
Right.
Like I've been going to New York recently, and that feels like closer to that.
Yeah.
But it's still just New York.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So
that's a good point though too. I like that you said that it's kind of like what you seek, because yeah, I mean, I could have went to Brockton High and only hung out with or surrounded myself with a certain, you know, type of people. And then my experience might have been different. So
that's what it is. Yeah. It's super what you seek, because it don't matter where you're at. You can find your people, you know. I like to force myself to be around whatever. Take Ubers every day. Like, go to convenience stores anywhere. Yeah. You know, like you can avoid things or you can not. Yeah. So that's really up to you.
Are you the type of person when you Uber to talk to the Uber driver and like ask them questions?
No, I leave it up to them. But I've been Ubering for like a year right now. I have no car for like a year.
Oh wow.
So, but no, Uber's been like a dope experience because of all that.
Yeah.
You meet all kinds of different people, different conversations. It's like high and by too, right? You might never see this person again. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool in that way. I found like a lot of positivity from the drivers because of it's so fleeting.
Yeah.
It's like they just drop off a little bit of positivity. You give it back maybe, and then it's like, see you later, thanks.
That's so true.
And that's pretty cool.
That's so interesting. Okay. Did you see it outside of you in your experience? Did you see it happening with other people around you when you were growing up?
Not at a like high level. Like, you know, I wasn't, none of my friends that I can remember like seeing get arrested or no. I was into sports. Like I stayed away from a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was tattooing at 18 years old in the city of Taunton. Like it was right there for me to be involved in a lot of things. And I just never went down that path. Yeah. That was part of like a big reason when I started tattooing. A lot of people around me, like my parents and even my the shop owner at the time, were like worried because what I was around and the type of people I'd be meeting throughout that early part of my career.
Interesting.
But I was still playing hockey even into my like the early years of tattooing. So that again like kept me kind of away from all that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then like, you know, land on learned early on that partying and drinking and all that didn't help me tattoo any better the next day. So
Yeah.
I don't go out. Like, I really don't go anywhere. Didn't go out much back then.
Yep.
Didn't go live away at college. So
Yep.
I was in Taunton,
Yep.
Throughout my college time. So that kept me away from a lot of shit that I'm thankful for all that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was my choice, right? I mean, I could have gone any which way.
Yeah. That's interesting because a lot of people will say that sports kind of like drove them away from maybe a lot of trouble. But it sounds like tattooing on top of that did that for you.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more, though, about what you said, how people were kind of worried when you first started tattooing and maybe the type of people that you were going to be around or potentially could be around. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I feel like, especially maybe back when you started, there's probably a lot of stigma around tattoos too. So what did people think about like the type of people that would be coming around?
Yeah, so I started tattooing 2008. And the shop I started at was definitely like an old school type street shop.
Mm-hmm.
So that came with street stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's no prejudice when you come in the door and you want a tattoo.
Yeah.
You're seeing all the time, the walks of life. People come in drunk, high, whatever it was. So yeah, that was the lifestyle that you were around for most of your day.
Yeah.
Back then we'd be tattooing until like 11 at night, mandatory. You got to be there. So that welcomes a whole different world of person.
Yeah.
Like now I'm tattooing maybe till like 8:30.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping by 11. So no, that whole tattooing world back then was way different than it is now, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, now it's the opposite. Luckily I'm busy enough where I can mostly have my door locked, and it's just a private appointment.
Yep.
with one or two people a day, and I can avoid a lot of that kind of hectic life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Good for you. Did you ever have any like serious issues when you were tattooing with anybody?
Close.
Yeah.
I've had a few different times that were a little sketchy, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Nothing went like straight left or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine though, like especially the later that it's open, like the type of people that maybe come in or who are like, fuck it, let's go get tattoos.
Yeah, it was all harmless stuff. Yeah, nothing went crazy though.
Yeah. How has it been to see maybe the image of tattoos in general kind of grow the past however many years? Like I feel like it's definitely less there's less stigma around having tattoos in like the workplace and all these other different things. Like I feel like a lot of times people had a very specific idea if they saw tattoos. And I think that that's grown a lot. So how has that been as someone who's in the industry?
Yeah, for me, it hasn't changed much because I've been right in it.
Yeah.
So every day I see somebody, they're getting a tattoo. So for me, it's not weird to see them,
Right.
to see tattoos everywhere. But yeah, it's strange because it's an outsider type of like
Point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, you're in it. So
I've been around it. I've been to conventions where like it's normal to see people with face tattoos and whatever. So
yeah.
I think that was really cool because the most tattooed like people I've ever met were like some of the chillest people ever,
Yeah.
and most times opposite, right? Like I don't know, I've seen the most judgmental people type, no tattoos type of guy, right? I don't know, like it's just strange, but yeah, for me it's never been weird because I've been around it since I was 18, so I just admire like good work when I see it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of tattooing. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's been so ingrained in my life that to me it's just like it's like putting on a hat or a shirt. Like it's just part of
Yeah.
what you acquire
Right.
through life, you know?
Except you can't take it off, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, you can.
There's that part, yeah.
What would you say to someone who maybe does have some views that are stigmatizing about tattoos? Like being on the other side of it. Any words of wisdom?
Oh, really? To each their own. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to convince anyone to get a tattoo. Yeah, I wouldn't say much unless they had something to say.
Yeah, if they have something to say straight to you.
Yeah.
Or what if so people viewing tattoos as like unprofessional, or, oh, they must be this type of a person. Like you've obviously been able to see, like you said, firsthand, like that's not necessarily the case just because someone has a tattoo or they're covered in tattoos. Like you said, face tattoos. Like a lot of people look at face tattoos and immediately think like, I don't even know, just not.
Yeah.
You know, they put this like negative connotation kind of on people, or this like label.
Yeah.
So I think you being able to see it all the time and seeing it as, like you said, just like a work of art rather than this negative connotation behind it, I think is really, I mean, it's nice. And I wish that more people felt that way. It's nice to see now that it's becoming a little bit more accepted in like the workplace, and obviously not everywhere, but like certain workplaces I think are like, it used to be kind of like, you can't show tattoos. And it's like, why? Like, what is I never understood how that makes, or that gives like an unprofessional vibe like that. I don't really understand that. Did you ever think about that like before? Were you kind of like confused by that as well?
Yeah, what's crazy is like we're into a time now where it's so much about equity and like, you know, equal opportunity and all this. But it seems like tattooing is the one thing that's still, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
I won't get too political, but you can do a lot of things to your body nowadays and still get the job.
Yeah.
But if you got a tattoo on your head or something,
Yeah.
whoa, right? Like, better watch out for this guy.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy.
It's really interesting. I was actually talking with some people from work the other day about like what's considered professional and what's not in terms of like appearance, and how a lot of that also, like a lot of ideas about professionalism are almost kind of like ingrained in like racism and like prejudice in terms of like social class, just so many different things, like different hairstyles that people see as unprofessional, like tattoos people see as unprofessional, like all these different things. And it's like, how did we get here? Like who made these rules?
It's crazy.
It really is.
When you think about it, like, and going back to mental health, like to me, all this shit ties in because anxiety, right? Like, what the fuck is that? Like,
Yep.
What is it? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the question.
Yeah.
The answer is, it's like, it's your, you know, it's like, it's why you get your hairstyle that way, or you know, it's different for everybody. But we definitely make decisions on our appearance, fashion, whatever the hell you want to do. Like, however you make up your character. You know, it's a blurry line. Like in some ways, it's, you can say fuck it, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want, and I don't care what anybody thinks. And then there's people that are like imprisoned by what you think. Yep. And then they'll make their decisions on their hairstyle or their shoes or whatever to get the job or to fit in. Yep. Then there's the other end of the spectrum that says fuck it, not doing any of that. And all that shit correlates into this idea of mental health and social anxiety. Yep. But what's cool is like, what I've realized though, I think, is like the light at the end of the tunnel for that whole conversation is it's about experience, right? It's like you need to go experience life. You can't go find your people. Right. You can't go sit at that cafeteria table. You got to take the Uber maybe, or you got to walk to work. Yep. Maybe you got to go to New York instead of your city. Like, go wherever. and then like focus on who's looking at you,
Yeah.
because no one is.
Wow, I love
Like
that.
nobody cares.
Yeah. Everybody's doing their own thing.
If you really pay attention, no one's sitting there looking you up and down like, oh, look who he's got on. This guy's a bum. Or this guy, oh, look, he's got Jordans on. Or this guy's cool. Or whatever the fuck it is. Like, so it's crazy. You gotta really realize that, like, we're all the same.
Yeah.
Like, and no one really gives a fuck anyway.
Right.
Like,
That's
it's
actually
crazy.
one thing that I love about New York too, is I feel like every time I go to New York, I feel that. I very much feel that. Like everybody is literally just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. And like everyone loves, I mean, obviously, you know, maybe not everybody in New York feels that way, but that's every time I go there, I feel that. Like everybody's just doing their thing, doing what they want, wearing what they want, you know, like, and I think, like you said, tying back people that are imprisoned by, like their thought process of maybe trying to fit into certain jobs and different things, or like changing their appearance in that way. That has to feel, I don't know, there has to be a layer of mental health there that like feels like you're just never truly being yourself, or you can't be, you know, which that has to, I can't even imagine, like that sucks. And then like you said, there's people who are like, I'm going to be myself 100% every day. And if this job doesn't want me, then they don't want me. And then I go on to the next place.
That's the liberating part right there. It's so tough to get there though. I feel like,
Very
I feel
tough
like, and I understand that. Like it's not like you just say, yeah, I'll wake up and don't give a fuck what people think. It's not that easy. But like anything else in life isn't easy either.
Right.
So you got to fight your battles like daily.
Yep.
But it's a battle worth fighting for sure. Like it's a start.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. And like you said, it can be such a liberating feeling, and to be able to get there, I feel like it's great. It's so great. And I wish that everyone at least even reflect, like going back to reflection, like at least starting to maybe reflect on these ideas, or like how much you feel like you're being yourself every day, or if you're not doing a certain thing you want to do because of how your job might view it or how other people might view it. Like even what I was just kind of talking about the tattoo that I want to get.
Yeah.
And saying like, for a while, honestly, I didn't get tattoos that were big and or on parts of my body that you could see because of my career. I was like, I don't know if I can be in court and testify with, you know, I mean, granted, I'll probably be wearing like a pantsuit and you probably won't be able to see most of my body anyways, but, or just different things. And now like I work in corrections, and honestly, I feel like they don't really care about tattoos anymore. There's people walking around with like full sleeves and nobody gives a shit. But before, back in the day, I feel like it would be like, that's what we would expect of an inmate to have on their body, like not a staff member, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's so crazy. And so now I think in terms of tattoos, like the one that I want to get on my arm, bigger for the ones that I have, I feel like it's been very much like, okay, well, I want it on my body forever. And like, that's the only thing that I need to think about. Not all of this other stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting. And
also, you don't got to please everybody anyway.
Right.
You know? Not everybody's your person.
Yep. Yeah. And I feel like, and that's, you'll realize who those people are. Yeah. And like, if that person has an opinion, like, then okay, they don't matter anyways to you.
Yeah, we tie on to too many people that we grew up with. Yeah, that's just the truth.
Yep.
And we got to constantly keep evolving, like to find your tribe. Yeah, yep. That's what the people say, right?
Yeah.
Find your tribe, but that's the truth, and the tribe doesn't have to be big.
Yep.
We're not going to fight a war, right? We're just trying to find some good friends that like make us feel welcome and like we can talk to. We're not gonna go. We don't need a tribe. We just need. We need
a wolf pack. A little wolf pack.
We just need to feel good around the people we want to be around.
Yep.
And there's no criteria for who those people are.
Yep.
So yeah, it doesn't. You don't gotta find those people in your town, your city. Nothing. You can find them. It's a big world out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also find yourself too.
Yes. Yeah.
Self-love
It's so important.
before anything else
Yep.
is a huge key.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk more about your tattooing. So you started at 18.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any tattoos before you started tattooing?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I got my first one from Juan Zamora.
Okay.
He worked at Action Inc. He's the guy that I mentored under.
Nice.
And he actually was the guy that told me I should start tattooing. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was pretty cool. So I'll never forget that. But yeah, I got that when I was 17 actually.
Okay.
And then yeah, a year later, started tattooing for the first time.
What was it that kind of sparked that interest in you? Like, when did you realize, oh, okay, I want to do this?
I would always draw. All through high school, I was drawing. And yeah, I mean, it came time, that whole like scary time of college where you got to figure out what you're going to do with your life. So at that time was like when Miami Ink came on television, like the very first tattoo show ever. And then I just remember watching that and seeing the artwork that went behind that and just saying like, all right, well, I feel like I could do that, you know? And then getting my first tattoo was a cool experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I had drawn it, I had designed it myself and gave it to Juan, and he tattooed it. And yeah, it just took a little like kick in the ass of him saying like, you should tattoo.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. Well, if this dude's saying it, then I'll give it a shot. And a family friend of mine owned the shop, and that's how I got my foot in the door over there.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. So you drew your first tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
Is it a big one?
It's pretty big. It's on my right shoulder. I still got it. For a first tattoo, yeah, it was pretty big. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So when did you first start drawing?
I'd probably say like habitually, like in high school, like freshman, like all through high school. Mm-hmm. Just always had a sketchbook every day type thing. And then, yeah, I mean, once I got to 18 and I started tattooing, that's when I really started like focusing on drawing to get better. Yep. And kind of fell in love with it once I got to college. Started drawing like every day.
Oh,
like
wow.
5 hours a day at class, you know. Yep. Drawing classes, painting classes.
Nice.
And I really like that made me fall in love with it all. I had a teacher named Ron Lister that was just like classic old school dude that just like had sketchbooks, and he was just like just a dope dude to learn from. Yeah. Just kind of like said the right things to keep you like to let you know this was a real path to take.
Right, and this doesn't have to just be like a hobby. Mm-hmm. So, do you feel like when you first started drawing, do you feel like there was any part of that was like a coping mechanism for you, or that it was like a way for you to express yourself?
No, when I first started, no.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't really even think much about this until recently.
Yeah.
But this whole like podcast prompts was like got me thinking even more about it, of course.
Yeah.
But
love that.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing too. Like I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, but I self-diagnosed that on me. Like if there's one thing that I have, I think it's that. Yeah. And it's crazy because I tattoo like 8 hours a day. Right. In a chair, like just focused on one thing. Yep. So it's like total anti-ADHD, but it's the one thing that I can do.
And truly focus on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Same with a sketchbook.
Yep.
And also too, like if I'm at home or like if I have time off from tattooing or creating art, it's like that's when I find myself like pacing. Like I'll do like laps around the kitchen and just be like, and then if I just touch that, if I pick up that sketchbook, I'm good. Like now I can at least put that energy towards something. Yeah. And that helps out a ton.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. But only recently I realized that, because like my free time when I'm just chilling or whatever, that's when like talk about mental health and all that gets a little slow. Like I was like, damn, I'm like thinking about this, that, and the other.
Right.
Haven't got shit done today.
Yep. Mind starts
So
racing.
the soonest I can get up and like get to production,
Yep.
even if it's just sketching,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like a little bit of a relief there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how do you basically just start sketching and like just whatever comes to mind, you just start drawing, or do you have something like in mind before you put it onto paper?
It depends. Like sometimes I'm just doing like conceptualizing. So I'll be in a sketchbook and just like working on an idea that I'm going to bring into a bigger project. And I'll sketch those things. But I do love to just, draw whatever comes to mind.
Yeah.
Like that's good. That's like a healthy part of
Yep.
being creative.
Absolutely.
Is to just like find your bigger projects through the mess of smaller shit that you just do.
Stumble upon.
Yeah.
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 Do you feel like you do get inspiration from anything or anywhere specific?
Traveling.
Yeah.
But not even traveling. It's like just paying attention to life. Like, but that's why I love to travel though. But it could be the smallest shit. Like, for me, it's just about paying attention, like being present. Like, because mostly what I paint and I draw is of life, like human life.
Mm-hmm.
So the weirdest shit, like
Yeah.
trash man type shit,
Yeah.
like mailboxes, like people interacting,
Yeah.
like relationships, posture. Like I'm just paying attention. Like everyone I see is like a character, right?
Yeah.
And I can just kind of portray them how I want to when I get back to drawing or painting.
Yeah.
But paying attention to everything, society,
Yep.
it all kind of comes down into through that funnel
Yeah.
into whatever comes out.
Right. That's dope. And I think that's not everybody is present. A lot of people aren't present in the moment. So I think that's nice to have. Number one is inspiration, that you feel like that's kind of just like how you are and what you do. Because a lot of people I feel like have to consistently practice being present. And I'm sure maybe sometimes
Everyone.
you have to too, but
Yeah.
that's a really good thing, because I feel like you probably do see so many things that so many other people are missing on a daily.
Yeah. I feel that way.
And then to have that be able to like come to life in a painting or, some sort of creation I feel like that's really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's the whole presence thing. It's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean about like the whole ADHD thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to be present when I'm doing a tattoo.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
it's like forced presence. I think you got to force yourself into presence. So that means doing meaningful shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
Absolutely.
You got whatever it is for you. It's gotta be like catching your eye.
Yeah.
You can't just,
Yeah.
presence just fleets when you're not doing anything worth shit.
Yeah. It's so true.
So
Yeah.
I think find your thing and
Yep.
then just, do that as often as you can.
This is super random, but it just came to my mind. Have you ever like completely fucked up when you were doing a tattoo?
No, not completely. No. There's
Okay.
one time I spelled the word wrong, but it was a Spanish word, and
Oh no.
the woman spelled it wrong, and I just trusted her. Of course, I didn't know what the word even,
Yeah.
how to spell it and all that. But no, that was her fault. She even said so.
Oh,
She didn't even
no.
realize it till a few weeks later either.
Oh my
But
gosh.
she came back like, yeah, I spelled that shit wrong. I'm like, yeah, you did.
Yeah, I feel like this was not on me.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So you've been able to create art and do tattoos with some big name people. So how did that feel for you when that first started happening?
Felt great. Like, that was, so tattooing is like, it's a very competitive field. And so for me, it was about, and I was still painting at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like, how am I going to stand out a little bit? So at the time I was doing some celebrity paintings, and that was kind of, and then I tattooed Jeremy Lamb, who's in the NBA now.
Mm-hmm.
but at the time he played for UConn. And that was like a little highlight on like my tattoo career.
Yeah.
Was when he would come down and he would fly me out to do work for him. But then outside of that, I did some celebrity paintings too that really just put the spotlight on me in a way that showed people I could paint as well.
Yep.
It showed people my skill level that I brought into tattooing.
Yep.
You know, like I was capable of doing portraits and that type of thing.
Yep.
Which just like broadened my whole clientele for tattooing. It didn't pigeonhole me in any way because people were able to see, you know, that I could tattoo or paint and draw in like many styles.
Yeah.
So that's been like the biggest plus in my whole career, I would say.
Yeah.
Was kind of showcasing my ability
Yeah, absolutely.
and not being afraid to do it. You
Right.
know? Like
Yeah, and
I
believing
don't
in
do
yourself.
I don't do celebrity paintings anymore, but like it's a different time.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was trying to make a living tattooing,
Yeah.
so I had to differentiate myself in some way, and that was kind of the wave I took to do that.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you don't do celebrity paintings anymore? Or
Yeah, I just simply don't want to. You know,
okay.
like
Yep.
it's like I'm at the point now where I only want to do what I want to do.
Yep.
I think I've put a lot of years into even tattooing is like it's commissioned work, you know?
Mhm.
It's a service-based industry.
Yep.
My dream as a kid was to be an artist, like a painter,
Mhm.
you know, to paint whatever the hell I want,
Yeah.
and people love it.
Yeah.
So I'm slowly trying to migrate into that. Tattooing just consumed 15 years of my life,
Yeah.
and I've always been painting in the meantime too. But reflecting now, I'm just thinking, man, if I only painted for 15 years, like
Wow. Yeah.
what could that have done for me? You know.
Yep.
So yeah, just making that adjustment and more balance towards the painting side of what I want to do that's what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah. Good for you. Do you feel like there was anybody who was like the most memorable in terms of when you first started getting some big name people? Or I guess just throughout your whole career, has there been anybody who's been the most memorable?
For tattoos,
Yeah, we'll start there.
for tattoos, probably like there's a few. I tattooed probably like the biggest celebrity I've tattooed was Brian Kelly from Florida Georgia Line.
Mm-hmm. Wow, nice.
That was just a cool experience because it was on his tour bus and there was like
Oh, that's dope.
a couple German shepherds next to us. It was just like a chill ass day.
Wow.
That was a cool experience. And then I tattooed Trinidad James out in LA,
Mm-hmm.
which was dope at the time. He was just a really cool guy. Super humble dude.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've tattooed NBA players, NHL players.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Gaudette, he's a Taunton guy.
Oh, nice.
He's in the NHL now.
Okay.
So that was cool, you know.
Come
to
full
see-
circle.
Yeah, to see him. He's a hockey player from Taunton too, so it was just dope to see him get to where he's at and then be able to tattoo him. He's had a couple different like articles on Nesson and whatnot that highlighted his tattoo work.
Oh, nice.
So things like that are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about for paintings?
For paintings, the biggest ones was Big Sean. That was like the first one I ever did.
Yeah. That's a huge like first one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, that one skyrocketed shit at the time for me. And he hung it up in his house and he posted it and all that,
Wow.
which was even more cool. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of fan art just kind of gets lost. Like I actually painted one for MGK and he had it and he actually did lose it. It's so funny. Like
Oh no.
I had never known like what happened with it. And then randomly, this is like 3 or 4 years ago, I got a picture sent to me in a DM of some dude in like a Walmart parking lot with that painting.
Stop.
Yeah. And I'm like, damn, so that's where it ended up. Like,
Oh my
so he had it. But no, I did one for Wiz too, and Wiz hung it up in his. I guess he's got like a home gallery.
Yep.
But stuff like that. But that was all like me searching them out. Like they didn't hit me up to commission it or nothing like that.
Yeah.
I was just hustling my way to get some eyes on what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that definitely helped.
It did.
Did you feel like you saw like an actual drastic change in business after that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk about being do you feel like you were fully present in those moments of like, wow, this is real, this is happening?
Yeah. And yes and no. I mean, at the time for sure, I was young, so it was the coolest thing ever to me.
Yeah.
But being, knowing what I know now and like how big the world is and how little that shit matters.
Yeah.
Like I said, you probably couldn't pay me enough to do another one, another celebrity painting. I'd rather paint whatever I want and then go about it that way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, at the time it was my way of trying to stand out and make a career.
If you could do work for somebody next, do you have someone who it would be like a dream person to do something for, whether it was a tattoo or a painting?
Yeah, probably Eminem.
Oh, wow.
If there was one like commission that I would take, for sure him.
Yeah.
Definitely my favorite. Growing up, at least. Yeah.
Eminem, if you're listening.
It did be tough to turn that one down.
That's awesome.
That's even like a feature dream for probably a lot of musicians too.
Yeah. Good choice.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a pretty easy choice, but
yeah,
I got to go with that.
No, that's a good one.
He was super into like comic books too when he was younger. He loved to draw.
Oh, really?
It's a big part of like his whole story too.
Yeah.
He's big into like illustrations and comic book type artwork. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of makes sense. I mean, he's creative just in like when you think about all of his music and his music videos and like everything that he's ever done. He's a genius.
Mm-hmm. It's overlooked nowadays, but no, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a most memorable tattoo that you've ever done? So not necessarily a person, but just in general, like.
Yeah, the one I'll never forget was this old woman. She's like she's probably like late 60s. And she had terminal cancer, if I remember right.
Wow.
But all I know is that she has 6 months to live, right? So this was Action Inc. And I'm at the desk, and this lady walks in, and she's got no tattoos that I can at least see.
Yep.
And she's like, I want to get a tattoo on my neck. And I'm just like, okay. Right. And she said she wanted it to say, I look good, huh? With a question mark. So I'm like, this is just super weird. Like, I'm almost like, no. Like, I don't want to do that on you,
Yeah.
Like, strange. But then she started dipping into her story of why she wanted it. And it was because she was terminally sick and they gave her 6 months to live and all that.
Wow.
And she wanted to get, I look good, huh? Because when she was laying in her casket, she wanted people to just have a laugh.
No shit.
And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do that tattoo. So we did it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, I'll never forget that one. That one stands out even to this day.
So how does it feel? That's actually a perfect example of like a lot of tattoos have a lot of like deep personal meaning to them. So how does it feel to be a part of that experience for people?
Yeah, it's the coolest part about it, really. It's what makes you tattoo 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It's what makes you give discounts.
Yeah.
It's what makes you put all your energy into that one day, and you're drained as hell afterwards. But like, this is a tattoo, so
yeah.
It's really not something you're gonna be able to slack on today.
Yep. Yeah, you have to be on.
So it's dope. I know that even when I get tattooed, like I'm always questioning, like, man, I wonder if this dude's on today. Mm-hmm. I wonder if he gives a shit about this, or like, what's his level of giving a fuck today? Because it's not until you get tattooed that you realize that shit, matters.
Yep.
So it's a lot of sacrifice that comes with doing it and being able to be on every day.
Yeah.
for them.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. When people come into the shop to get a tattoo, do they ever just dive in and tell you their story right away about what the tattoo means, or do you ever ask?
It's different every time, but a lot of times people have a really meaningful tattoo that they'll have a whole story behind it. And that's cool because it dives into all kinds of different conversations, right? It kind of breaks down the barrier, and we can get into some good conversations. So that's a cool part of the experience for sure.
Yeah.
Other times, it's not really, not a huge part of the conversation. It depends. Everybody's different with what they get and the meanings behind it and all that. But no, it can definitely lend to like building a relationship with the client beyond just the tattoo experience,
Yeah, absolutely. Are there ever times where you go home and you're kind of like, I don't know, maybe you hear like a really sad story or something that really like sticks with you and you feel like, you're like, damn.
Yeah, definitely. I've had clients that have passed away like weeks after I've tattooed them, type of thing.
Wow.
That stuff sounds strange, Yeah. Just kind of spend hours with these people. And then you like get word that they passed away, and it's a little strange. Like over the years, that's happened a few times.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exchange of energy, right?
Yeah, it really is.
That's what it is when you're tattooing somebody. So whatever conversations we have or topics that come up, it can lend to open-mindedness, hopefully, between the both of us.
Yep.
And that's cool. You take it home with you, like you said. It's a learning experience for both parties.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool thing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So what can we expect from Ryan Jones in the future?
In the future, I think I'm getting into probably my best years of tattooing, for sure.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, I feel like I've put in the 10,000 hours needed at this point, and I'm ready to, I'm ready to produce my best work in tattooing, definitely. But aside from tattooing, I'm gonna be taking the same passion that I put into tattooing and dump all that shit right into some painting.
Yeah.
Painting amongst other things, like just in general, putting on art shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that because I'd rather show than tell.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Love that. Maybe you'll have to show some of your art here sometime when there's a art show.
You guys do shows here?
Yeah.
Dope.
And by you, I don't do anything, but they do.
Yeah.
They do it all. So yeah, that's awesome. No, I thank you for being here. I think that there's so much behind art and tattooing that people don't realize. And so it's really, really interesting to hear you talk about it and to kind of hear all the different experiences that you've had. First of all, how you got to, doing more art and tattooing, and how much I think that it really probably shapes you as a person, because of all those different stories you hear and the different people that you meet. And I think that that's really, really beautiful in a way that I think a lot of people kind of don't think about. And to talk about how tattoos don't need to be so stigmatized, just like mental health and everything else.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of people are going to probably be surprised at some of the stuff that we talked about. And I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot of different things from this episode too. So I appreciate you for being, honest and vulnerable in that way and kind of sharing your story today.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
Yeah. And I want you to be able to plug yourself so people can. Are you on social media still?
Yeah, just
Okay.
Instagram, really.
Just Instagram.
Yeah.
So plug yourself so that people can follow you and see your work.
Yeah, it's just Instagram at realryanjones. That's really it.
All right.
It's really all I kind of maintain at the moment.
You have a website as well?
Yeah. So the shop website, tattoo website is r.a.s.studios.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that also on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, everybody go follow, go hit him up. He's probably super busy, but maybe he'll be able to squeeze you in. He does amazing work. I mean, you'll be able to see it if you follow his stuff. He's done work on a lot of my family and friends as well, and on me. And so, yeah, everybody go follow. And again, thank you for being here. I'm excited for people to hear this episode and learn more about all of this. So everybody go follow, like, comment, subscribe. Ryan's information will also be underneath in the description of the episode, so you'll be able to find it there, as well as all of the information for the podcast. So thanks for watching.